basis and which intention you had to
when we moved into it. How could So at the beginning of development, that's always our goal, to make the best. Bring a new game to people, make sure it's as awesome as we can make it the best that we can make it. And we always start with the core Call of Duty ideas in our mind, and that's fast gameplay. We want really solid controls. We want players to feel like they're a part of the world and have that really good combat, the really good feeling weapons, good feeling when you're fighting each other. So that's something that we always have to start together with. We always start from there. And then, additionally, we want to add new things because we know that we have such a passionate fans, such a passionate group of fans, and it's just something that they're always very excited about, but we can't just put the same thing out every year. So our goal is to offer this core gameplay that you can recognize, but give you new things as you go. So right from the day one of development, we always think about, what are we going to do that's new? What are we going to do that's different? And how can we make sure that we're not throwing everything out that people already like? So it's definitely a challenge right from the beginning of the game. So I don't know if that answers what you were looking for, or okay.
So you were talking about new ideas. Where in the development, were there ideas you had to plan to add to the game, but threw out because of they weren't fitting in the game, that weren't possible to?
Every development is different, and with this game, you always go into something and you have 1,000 ideas or 2,000 ideas or just a huge amount of ideas, but you know from the beginning that they're not all going to work and they're not all going to get into the game. But you try them, and some things that you may think are the greatest ideas you've ever heard or the greatest things you've ever done, they don't work. You get them in the game and they're not fun. So you just take them out of the game and you move on with your life. So there's always things that you're trying new things, and the way that we work is we put things in and we play it and we iterate, and we just, if it's not working, we get rid of it, but if it's working, we keep testing and we keep playing it. So there's always ideas that go away, but it's always it's so cool to see things that you come up with actually make it into the game at the end of the day.
I can imagine. Are there one or two examples, maybe?
I don't really that made it into the game. There's a ton. But there's some things like examples are, we have really a group of incredibly talented level designers, and it's just as an example, like we'll have an idea for a location, a snowy location, and we may do 2 or 3 blockouts. Go like, oh, we know what we want the location to be. We know what we want it to feel like, but we don't really know what the path is. So we have an idea of how we want to make it. We want to have an idea of what sort of combat we want, but we'll go through, whole chunks of that map were played that went away or were replaced or put in. So I think that's a pretty specific example. But it's everything we do. When we add a new weapon, we play test it and we balance, and some ideas like this was going to be a weapon. The first idea was we want a single shot weapon, but we've turned it into a 3-round burst. I mean, it's just all about what works best for the game.
And will you take feedback from the community? Will you implement them in the game maybe this time, or?
Yeah, actually, one of the cool things about having such an awesome fan base, is such a great group of players, is they're very vocal. And for example, they really liked in Black Ops 2. It seemed like something that a lot of people really were excited about was Pig 10, and how you could change your loadout to how you want to play. And that was something that, going in with Infinity Ward, that was something they really wanted to do, was to allow players to really customize not only how you look, because they've added the whole system where there's something like 20,000 different combinations of heads and hands and arms, but also to allow you to customize your character and how they play. And that really came from that idea and that love of the fan base for the Pig 10 system. So, we listen, and from websites and reviews and fan mail.
We've also seen YouTube videos. I've seen the presentation, and they talked about YouTube videos from Modern Warfare 3 where they used C4 wrong. And you added a new grenade to it.
Yeah, so I mean, we're scouring and we're looking and we're listening. I mean, it really is, and it's with this many people that play the game, you have a hard time making everybody 100% happy. But the goal is to have enough stuff out there that makes people happy that they enjoy it.
So if we're talking about fan bases, you have the Battlefield community, you have the Call of Duty community, and most of the time they're against each other. I don't know why, and so I'm asking for it. Are you doing some things to get the Battlefield fans to Call of Duty? Are you maybe looking for Battlefield, looking what they got or what they have, and maybe bring some things into or do you want this two bases fighting against each?
I guess it's great to have a competition, right? It's great for every game in the world to have a competitor because it makes both games better. Because both games are trying to make sure that they're offering the best thing you do. So in that regard, I think it's wonderful. As far as Battlefield fans versus COD fans, no one wants that. I think that the games are so different. They're maybe the similar setting, but the gameplay itself is very different, right? Battlefield has larger arenas. It has more players. It's a more lost on the battlefield. Like I can go where big spaces where COD is that fast. I know who's on the opposing team, and if that person kills me, or 4 times in a row, he's my nemesis for this round. And so I think they're both just different games, and I think that there's a lot of differences between that are maybe not as different as they need to be. And fans, I think there's plenty of fans that love both games, so I think that's important.
Coming back to the fan base, do you think it's important to have user-based content in the game, or will you implement them in the game, or?
That's something we haven't really discussed as far as user-based. So I probably have to defer on that one. I'm sorry.
No problem. You have
so we have the community question. Maybe it's a little bit strange, but there are many players under 18 playing Call of Duty, and they ask in the community if you want to have them, if you're really specified on these players, even if the game is not for players under 18.
The game is made for a mature audience, and that's Activision. We make the game knowing that it's for adults, it's 18 or older, and that's the key. It's really
that's what those ratings are for, because only adults can really buy the game. So then you're talking about parents. So
you're not specified looking for them. You just say no. It's if they like our games, it's good. But we don't want them to play our games because they're maybe too hard or too
young.
They're too young to play.
The key is when we design the game, we're designing for adults.
Okay.
And that's what our game market is for. It's for adults. It's the 18 or older.
So personally, would you say that Call of Duty Ghosts would be the best Call of Duty ever made, or what do you think about it?
Well, I'm really proud of the game. I think there's a lot of awesome stuff, and that's a hard line to just throw out there. There's so many good things across so many games, but I think that people will really enjoy Call of Duty Ghosts. I think that it's something I'm very proud of, and I cannot wait for people to play it. I mean, I think it's a very solid game. It's really cool. And hopefully you'll get some hands-on time. I don't know if you have.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys want to queue up to next door, if there's open spots, you guys can.
So it's your favorite Call of Duty game, maybe? Or is there maybe one of the first ones where you can play the World War?
I love Call of Duty, and it's the whole, right? Like, it's hard for me to, like, and especially even with movies, I'll be honest, I don't have a favorite movie, but there's movies that stand out. Like, there's certain movies that I like a ton, and I do think Call of Duty Ghosts is one of my favorite, and obviously having worked on it, it makes it a little more your baby, so I don't think it's a fair question on some levels, because I don't want to just say it's the greatest thing ever, but I'm very proud of it. I think it is a good game, definitely a great game.